right, here on Cloud Kingdom in the top right, we've got TSL Polt as the blue Terran. He's going to be facing off against the current Code S champion for GSL. That is this red Protoss down in the bottom left. It's Seed.
Okay, so let's see here now. What Seed is going to do. Cloud Kingdom is his map of choice, which is pretty cool, I think. I think it's a reasonable choice, especially as Seed. You know, okay, so Seed went into this GSL Finals against SKMC and basically decided to out-aggress the master aggressor himself and even went back to one-base plays and things like that in order to take home the championship. We've seen since then that he has kind of a knack for being able to flip between ultra macro mode and really aggressive play kind of on a dime. So I'm sure Polt is not going to be... it's going to be difficult for him to have a strategy in mind.
Yeah, if you know that your Protoss opponent's going to be super aggressive, and Terran has the ability to be really aggressive, you could just, I don't know, float a barracks into his main and hide it, and I'm sure that Bronze League tactic will catch him off guard and kill him if he tries to do that, but probably not. So Polt's going to build his barracks at the top of his ramp instead. We've got a gateway coming out for Seed. Neither player going for the super duper fast expand. So potential for, you know, a slightly sort of mid-length game rather than the super macro. But we'll see as we continue on when Polt actually starts to build his first command center. If Seed feels comfortable enough dropping a Nexus anytime soon. But right now, one gas for both players going up pretty quick.
Okay, so let's see here as first gas just finishing up, and of course Seed's going to take a look at things here. Protoss players pretty much exclusively will still decide to put down that gateway and the gas, especially on maps that aren't super huge like this one. And then if they see something very greedy out of a Terran opponent, well then they'll decide to drop off of gas and put down a Nexus very quickly afterwards. But this probe has actually been pretty valuable as it sees gas out of Polt. It knows that some sort of tech is going to hit him, and as we can see, he's saving up for 100 gas at the moment and planning to put down a factory eventually. Yep,
pretty quick factory if he does indeed get that started right now. Obviously, didn't put on any add-ons. Yep, so factory is the only logical choice there. He does start building there back at the ramp. Oh, good move there, actually, keeping the probe on the left side of the map with that Marine. Was able to prevent it from seeing the factory. Obviously, seeing the gas and not seeing any add-ons or anything, though, we'll know that Seed has some idea of what's going on, especially with that factory. Nexus coming down now for Seed. That's pretty quick. It is going to beat Polt if he does try to expand. It's going to be a little bit later on, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. In fact, we'll see if he decides to put down... Okay, no, he hasn't gone for a second gas quite yet, but he has already started with the reactor, so we could swap those over, put down a starport, and then decide to move into a Marine Hellion drop to expand out of, which certainly can do quite a bit of damage against a Protoss player at the beginning of the game.
Okay, with his reactor finishing, we'll see some Hellion action. Starport already started to be able to switch onto the tech lab that the barracks is most likely going to be making. And, you know, we've seen this before. Banshee probably going to be coming out for Polt after that. Hellion drop is a possibility. We'll see if that tech lab gets started when the barracks lands. A couple of Marines hanging onto these Xel'Naga towers, so Polt is going to have the map vision this time around. Seed still actually just now pressing out with his first unit into the Xel'Naga area. Let's see what that actually is. It's going to be a Stalker, so he will actually get this Marine kill.
And he, of course, has a little bit of concern right now, so he puts up both these gateways. He's starting them at about 27 supply. That's very early on, and that's usually a sign that a Protoss player is not feeling too confident. So he wants to make sure that he has units out to receive any sort of aggression.
Like these Hellions that are already on the bottom side of the map. There come two more to actually join their buddies. The Stalker is going to try and get some free shots on the Hellion. He does some damage, but these two Hellions have already arrived at the natural of Seed. He does not. Oh, he does actually have a sentry. Okay. I didn't see him until the last second. Those probes were very lucky to get out of there with just yellow health rather than being dead. Four Hellions total actually showing up at the ramp of Seed, but he does have at least one more force he'll be able to deal with this. Warping in Stalkers on the low ground to ward these Hellions back into the first one that he had is a good idea because Polt cannot stick around while there are no probes to shoot at.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, he does his damage and gets out of there. He's killed 4 workers in total so far. Things are working out. And he has that Banshee on the way. Now, no cloak, so it is Stalkers are going to be able to respond to this. Bit of an Artosis pylon that's going on there. Just one pylon powering all of those structures.
Yeah, if the Banshee realizes it and takes it out, that can be quite beneficial. These Hellions are getting to run around. Stalker's doing a great job picking off all these Hellions as they try to get their licks in on the probes. 9 total workers killed, though.
And 2 sentries.
Yeah, and those 2 sentries, yes, very valuable targets already taken out. They won't be able to drop any force fields or guardian shields a little bit later on, and just weakening the force in general. Now that the Banshee has shown up, we'll see how many probes he's going to be able to bolt down with it.
I love this style of play from Polt. This is why it's always been fun watching Polt, in my opinion, at least. He kills 3 more workers, backs out of there, and now he forces his opponent to split up units, so it'll allow him eventually to move through the front once again.
And he can just keep building those Hellions and keep just being super annoying with them. It looks like he is going to swap around back toward that MMM, though, with the second Banshee on the way and the barracks dropped back onto the reactor. I expect to see some Marine medevac action here soon. Tanks also a viable option. It looks like Polt wants to double expand, though, as he's got 2 command centers in the works in his main.
And he's thinking about just moving forward with these units. Oh, and it's only light units up at the front. The Hellions are just going to tear through them. Okay, never mind. There are 2 Stalkers off to the side, and they're starting to go right after the Banshees, but good positioning for Polt. He does pull back slowly but surely to start targeting down these Stalkers and hopefully get away with these Banshees. One Banshee is very low in health, and it looks like he is going to try and get away, but he will take out a few more workers with him.
Seed is taking still a lot of damage. Look, more probes going down to those searing spears of the Hellions.
All the magic jokes. All of them.
Looks, it's like a searing spear, right? It's like a flame jet?
No, more like a laser.
Oh, what? The Hellions are like a laser?
No, never mind. You were talking about, I thought you were talking about the Stalkers going after the Hellions, and I was like, no.
The Hellions are shooting their searing spears at the probes.
Yeah. It's kind of like a searing spear.
All right, so this Banshee might not make it out alive. 30 HP, 10 HP does actually get all the way home. The Observer is going to tail it. No, it's actually not. It's just going to fake us out. And we've got more barracks, actually a lot more barracks being added on by Polt. He is going to invest heavily into Marine Tank now that his harassment days are pretty much over.
Yes, he's getting too old for that.
Indeed.
Let's see here.
It's a younger man's game.
He still does have the bunker up the front. Of course, he's overproduced workers off of 1 base, but as a result of all of his mules going there, he is pretty low in resources at the moment. Even though he killed quite a few workers, his opponent still does have 8 more workers than him. Of course, Polt's advantage is that he has the 3 command centers.
That's right. You can just mule, and so far, these 3 Banshees actually without Cloak. I'm wondering how much damage he could do with Cloak because, investing so much into Banshees, and it looks like the, robotics facility is not even there yet for Seed. Was it? Did he have a facility up? Haven't seen. Oh yeah, the Observer was already out. Yeah, that's right. So I'm not sure if he would be able to have the same coverage though. He would have to crank one out pretty quick. But Dark Shrine coming up for Seed. He realizes he's I guess behind after losing so many workers and having to invest in probe count so much, as leaving his army just a little bit weaker. 1 Banshee does go down pretty quick to those Stalkers, but he is getting some high value targets in those sentries before backing out, and it looks like Polt is going to chase away this Stalker force just outside of his main.
Another 3 workers and 2 sentries killed for 1 Banshee. That's still a trade that's worth it for Polt. And he forced Seed to, split his attention a little bit. Seed now has 6 gateways. It's about what we would expect, and with the Dark Shrine, he will be able to produce a fair number of DTs going forward. Is there any detection up at the front for Polt? No, he does not have an engineering bay at all, so it's just scans.
Yikes stripes. Hopefully he saves enough energy and doesn't get too greedy with his mules in case these lovely DTs start showing up and wrecking shop. I don't know. Is that a forward pylon actually right there? No, it's just the Observer red dot. No forward pylons just yet. Is that a probe moving along? Oh, Warp Prism. That'll certainly help. The most mobile of all pylons can just warp in wherever he feels like it. DTs are going to warp in on the low ground in the 3rd sort of area rather than trying to sneak into the main there. So all these forces of Polt actually leaving home. Seed has a chance to get some real damage done with this.
Oh, but Polt does pick up on the Warp Prism at just the right time. He's going to pull some forces back. And does he know of the DTs? He will here in just a second.
All right, what are they going to target down first? It looks like the first DT is going to get taken out by the Marauders. It looks like the other DT is going to get some worker kills, already up to 10 workers killed, I believe, from 2 a little earlier. He's trying to take out some supply depots, but Polt actually has way more depots than he needs at the moment, so could probably pick some better targets at the moment. Polt's still just trying to defend, not looking to focus on attacking or doing any kind of counters. He's actually got all of his production halted after he killed the DTs, then he started 7 more units.
And I think he knew about this. The Warp Prism does get him one more time. He'll need to scan once again. So 4 scans are wasted, but Polt does clear all these out. It did delay that attack, as this attack has been sitting in the middle of the map and could have done some very real damage there.
Yeah, and the whole time he was dealing with that, he wasn't using his production facilities. Right now, again, he just doesn't queue up units ever, so he has to start those 3 new Marauders and 4 new Marines each time. All these upgrades are rolling, though. +1/+1 combat shields and concussive shells, all going to be done in the next minute or 2. And we've got some upgrades from Seed going along as well. 2-2 on the way.
He's way ahead.
Yep, so if Polt doesn't actually strike soon, he could fall even further behind, and it looks like he does want to get some real damage in here soon.
Okay, well, there's not a lot of AoE here. Of course, it was Dark Templar that were produced for Seed rather than High Templar and Storm or Archons. So the robotics bay is delayed, the Archons are delayed. There's not a lot of area of effect, like I said, so Polt could take advantage of that with attacking here in the meantime. Very nice job. He actually picks off the Observer, then drops all of his units right back down.
Yep, great job there, and he's dropped a scan earlier when there was no Observer, so it looks like he does just do it kind of as he progresses across to make sure that they're not tailing him. Another Observer is there, so wouldn't be surprised. Yep, another scan goes down, and Polt is victorious over the Observer race. And it looks like, I think, is that Warp Prism all the way in the top still hanging out there? Yeah, it is. So at any time, Polt may need to react to some DTs in his mineral line.
Okay, well, he's going to try and rush through right now and just do some damage, and the Zealots are able to actually pick off a few units at the front.
Oh,
but
man.
look how high the DPS of this army is, and it just drives everything away. Seed now still on 2 bases, and because he had started those so early, he is getting mined out at least of his main. So even if Polt were to pack up and just go home now, he's gained himself a huge advantage. But Polt's not usually the player to just be like, well, I've done enough damage. He usually just keeps pressing.
That's true. And I mean, those +2/+2 upgrades on the Army of Seed don't do a whole lot when you're running away and not actually fighting. So even though he does have the advantage on the upgrades, those Zealots can't even reach the main army, as concussive shells are just too great, too numerous to allow those Zealots in. That one Colossus trying to get a lot of damage, and the Medevac's doing a good job keeping everything up, but the splash is taking its toll now, and Seed can press out here just a little bit.
And Polt, though, as soon as he detects a little bit of weakness, decides to double back as he continues to mess around with these. He wants to make sure that there's no opportunity for Seed to pull back. Oh, and get out of the range of Polt's units and move into a 3rd base once again. So Polt continuing to do damage here, and, well, I mean, what else can you say? He's killed basically his opponent's entire army. He's got a fully saturated 3rd base to his opponent's non-existent 3rd.
He might get the Warp Prism, but doesn't. But he is making some Vikings, so that one Viking that just popped out will be able to go deal with that Warp Prism here in just a moment. Shouldn't actually distract him too much longer. We've got this Banshee with 8 kills that at some point was popping in there doing some damage. We do have a Warp in back at Polt's main, just a single charge lot at the moment, and the Warp Prism is going to get taken out.
So, well, the Zealot has actually killed a couple of things so far. Well, I should say one thing, and the units do react in time for Polt. He cleans it up.
He killed a couple of half things and a Marine.
Yeah. All right. Good. Good. Well done. 2-2 upgrades actually just finishing now for Polt, so he has caught up considerably in that upgrade time.
Okay, Polt has just a much larger force. It looks like he's content to be on 3 bases. He wants to stop Seed's 3rd base from becoming saturated here soon as he starts to move his way across. There is an observer overhead of Polt's army, seeing them come into this space, the scouting factory. Not as stealthy as the observer.
No.
So it does get taken out by the stalkers and sentries, and Polt's force actually looks a little bit more small, a little bit more paltry than it did previously. with those Colossus out now especially.
What always makes me wonder, though, about the factories is the fact that, you know, when they're flying and they're sent across the map once the starport's already been constructed, I mean, the factory, you know, pilot has to be thinking to itself, why is this helping you create starports back at home? How am I assisting you? Get me back home.
Well, that's all. You just need it to exist. You can fly to the corner of the map and it still helps. But more Vikings, more Vikings, more Vikings. Polt is adding on ship weapons as well. He wants to be able to deal with those Colossi. It can be dangerous to overcommit to that. Here we go, though. Polt splitting his forces in two to do a two-pronged attack. So this is just a distraction tactic to get Seed to focus all of his efforts on the right side of the map, while Polt moves in with a huge amount of Marauders and Marines. He's going to just bypass the natural entirely, set up in this choke point, and try to kill the Colossi, which are up on the cliff. He might actually get both very quickly. The force fields are going to prove to be very, very useful for Seed. Great move there, keeping Polt from being able to take out the second Colossus, but then he moves it just out of position again, and Polt has merged his forces from the right side and from that top attack, and just has a ton of bio units still standing.
Yeah, it looks like there was one more Colossus that popped out, but don't think that alone is going to be enough. I mean, Polt is obviously just sitting here to kill this third base over and over again. He knows that the rest of his units here aren't going to trade the most cost efficiently, but he doesn't care. He just has to do damage, delay, and get out, and he's done that masterfully.
Yep, now that the last of the Marauders are down, we can look at Polt's new force that has just shown up. It's another round of Marines and Marauders, 2 Vikings in the air as well to try and deal with those Colossus. They keep popping out one at a time. Polt did a great job taking those out earlier. Seed dropped those force fields, but still managed to lose the Colossus by moving it just out of place. Plus 2 ship weapons coming up now, still 11 bio units at a time being produced for Polt.
Okay, well, just 1 Colossus remaining. The 4 Vikings are going to be plenty enough to bring that down. They do. Just 1 Immortal now, and that's the only real threat that's left in this army for Polt, and it looks like he will be able to just chew through all the rest of the forces. There's the GG from Seed, and Polt has taken out the reigning GSL Code S champion and brought things back 3-2.
That means he's the new Code S champion.